by. And Mike, I know when you got into town, you had this tornadic storm that came through, but now the heavy rain, the pouring rain on top of severe threats. What's it like at this moment?
Okay, here we go. Let's look out and show you what's going on. We're undercover for safety. This is that line that we've been following for about an hour. There is a lot of lightning very close, so we're staying undercover. You can see the power, the wind and the rain. Whoa, that bolt just came down across I-57. There goes another bolt across the interstate. Just get a load of the lightning and the thunder. Fortunately, we're under this building and back out of the way of any danger. But bolts are just crashing down here. We're in the town of Sherwood. The wind gusting over 40, maybe some 50-mile-an-hour gusts. When the line went through Arkadelphia and also the town of Hot Springs, the winds did not peak over 35, 36 miles an hour, but they're stronger here, and it is just a very dangerous storm. Mentioned the flash flood emergency. The thing that has saved us so far is the past couple of hours we've been relatively dry around Little Rock, but now we have the flash flood emergency till 2:15 Central Time. This is quite a storm. Also, we've gotten into the colder air. It was 68 about an hour ago. At the top of the hour, it was 56, and I have a feeling now it's down around 50 degrees. So we've got back into the cold side of this front. Boy, those lightning bolts are really close. Now it seems like the bolts have backed off just a little bit. But just take this all in. It is the middle of the day, and it's almost dark as night here in Sherwood, about 10 miles north of Little Rock, Arkansas. Flash flood watch till 7 in the morning. Heavy rain. And these thunderstorms, now once these thunderstorms move through, we shouldn't have any more issues with severe weather, but still a lot of what we call overrunning rainfall through this evening. Another bolt flashing just south of us, down 57 here in Sherwood. And we should see another 2, maybe 3 inches of rain before it winds down later on this evening. So if you got plans tomorrow, it's not going to be a sunny, warm day. It's going to be a cloudy and very chilly day with highs running about 20 degrees below average. But the rainfall will really, most of the rainfall is going to fall by midnight tonight, maybe a few showers into Sunday morning. And then just some great spring weather coming back in. We'll get rid of the humidity, the high heat and humidity we've seen on and off for the past 4 or 5 days. Some spots hitting 90 degrees, but we'll be back for highs in the 60s on Monday and then warming back up to 75 to 80 by Wednesday and Thursday. So we're going to break this horrible pattern, the deadly tornadoes, the catastrophic flooding, not only here in Arkansas, but again across a lot of the mid-south parts of Tennessee, the Arklatex, and up into Kentucky, and also parts of Missouri. Again, we are live from Fox Weather in Sherwood, Arkansas, about 10 miles up I-57 from downtown Little Rock. What you're seeing is a squall line that came through with a severe thunderstorm warning. We've been keeping an eye on the potential rotation, but we haven't seen any so far on the radar. We thought we saw maybe a little bit trying to pick up on the the differential. Wow, that bolt was just around the corner. But unrelenting rain, you can see that on the radar. This is a very wide squall line. The wind has now let up just a little bit, and the lightning bolts are certainly not as close, at least for the last 30 seconds to a minute. But you can see on the radar, too, there's just a swarm of lightning. By the way, when I checked power outages about 10 minutes ago statewide, not too bad from the storms. 24,000 customers without power. The restaurant next door, they had lightning hit a pole outside and it fell down and cut off the water supply. So they were without power and water for about a day. That was on Thursday. So they were saying we don't need any more power outages. Unfortunately, usually you need winds about 60 miles an hour before you really see trees coming down on power lines. And we haven't seen a lot of that, even though we've been under tornado watches on and off, it seems like, for the past 3 to 4 days in this part of the CONUS. I'm going to step back in front of the camera just a minute. I think it's a little bit safer now, but it's still raining very, very hard. The wind has eased off, now gusting about 20, 25 miles an hour. And you get a sense of how how quick this storm came in. I mean, we saw the roll cloud come at us, and boy, those temperatures have really dropped down. They may be back in the upper 40s, but as I said, just about an hour ago, we were up around 70 degrees.
Mike, this is just incredible. You're sitting at 56 degrees right now, by the way. So you've had a bit of a drop.
Well, that was, yeah. Well, that was at the top of the hour.
That's true.
Before the storm hit. So. Yeah, we'll see. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I think it's gotten colder. I can feel my fingers, how your hands start to get a little bit numb. The cold, damp weather, especially when you're old like me. So, wind is easing off. Heavy rain continues. Flash flood emergency till 2:15. Tornado watch until, I believe, 7. I believe that's 7 Central. Although, once this goes through, I can tell you that we're done with any severe threat. It's just going to be the rain and the flood threat through the rest of this evening. Most of the models, in fact, I looked at the latest TER model. That's our high-resolution radar forecast, which updates every hour. And I was noting that most of the heavy rain is out of Little Rock by about 8 o'clock, plus or minus 8 o'clock Central. So we may be wrapping up the heavier rainfall a little earlier this evening than thought. But again, we've got to let the creeks and streams come down. There's going to be rivers still coming up. We've seen a couple of those up in the Ozarks, up around Pocahontas, the Black Rock area, keeping an eye on that particular area for potential moderate to major flooding. Fortunately, a lot of these areas are not very populated, or the houses aren't near the rivers. Here in Little Rock, we haven't had any problems on the river so far.
Yeah.
But once again, a big drop in temperature, a lot of rainfall. The worst is now moved off to our east. But boy, what a light show. I don't know if you got the full effect of the thunder, the crackling thunder back there in the studio, but boy, it was loud here.
Yeah, back to back. I mean, you had at one point more than 350 strikes in the last 5 minutes over Little Rock, and you heard how that thunder just continued to crack and rumble. This is the first ever flash flood emergency for Little Rock proper, Mike, for this area. So this is a pretty significant deal. When that storm was rolling through, reports coming in, the Air Force Base up in North Little Rock, now sitting at 50 degrees. They had gusts up to 67 miles an hour. Power hits being felt around the area. The National Weather Service office themselves noting that they too took a couple power hits. Things look to be settling as the storm kind of moves on, but now they're projecting 70 to 80 mile an hour winds headed within that line as it arcs its way up to the north and east.
That doesn't surprise me. You mentioned 67 miles an hour. That's probably what we got here. It was howling pretty good. Right before we came to you, when the initial gust front or the initial gust came through, it was probably up there in that 60 mile an hour range. And then it was pretty consistent, as you saw, for 3 or 4 minutes.